Colin, we just closed on the sale of a business that you founded with your brother and started a few years ago. How have you felt about that since the deal closed?
Tremendous relief.
Right. Yeah.
Glad it's done.
Yeah.
And it's definitely feels good to finish that process, because it does take a lot out of you, for sure.
For sure, man. So what do you think was the most surprising part for you about going through the sale process of a business, and had you ever done that before?
I'd never done it before. The most surprising part, and in retrospect it shouldn't have been surprising, but is just how many things come up that you just didn't think about, and that you have to all of a sudden come up with a solution for to get the deal done.
For sure. Yeah. So was it, to that point, right? There were, and your deal had some complexity in it. We had a pretty sophisticated capital structure with a number of different components. Was it, is that something you think you could have done on your own? And was it helpful to have me, working with you as an advisor?
Well, I don't know about doing it on our own. I mean, with the help of very expensive lawyers, we probably could have gotten it done on our own, but I don't think it would have been as fast or as affordable. And having a broker like you definitely helps cut through some of the bullshit. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse or not, but
yeah, you can say anything you want.
They, especially with lawyers, they can get into this mode where they're kind of they don't choose which hills to die on. And I think it definitely helped having someone like you there to kind of rein everyone back in and focus on solving the problem instead of winning a battle.
Great. Yeah. A few of those circumstances that came up, I think we were able to successfully navigate them.
Yeah. Yeah. And before you close the deal, it's a very weird relationship, because you are negotiating with someone that's going to potentially be your partner. And that can get very awkward, because you don't want the negotiation to sour the relationship afterward. And so you're at this, like, we're on the same team, but right now we're on the opposite team, because we're both trying to extract as much value out of this as possible. Get paid as much as you can, or if you're on the other side, pay as little as you can. And so if you have this kind of disinterested third party in the middle to see each side's points and communicate them to the other side, I think it's just very helpful.
Good. Okay. So, what advice would you have for somebody, thinking about selling a business, and how to kind of plan and prepare for that?
Assume it's going to take 5 times longer than you think it will. Don't assume that you're going to have everything figured out about how the deal will work up front. Be prepared to make concessions on things that you thought were settled. And that goes both ways.
I think that's good advice throughout a process like this. So you had multiple offers on your business. We received, I think, at least 4 LOIs. Do you think it gave you confidence in coming to an agreement on the deal, to have seen, multiple offers in the market for the business, and what structures were being offered?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. It always feels good to get more than one offer. You have a lot more leverage. Sometimes you get like these, I think we had one kind of really stink bid offer, and you just, you shrug it off because it's just not serious. But those offers also aren't worthless.
Yeah.
I mean, they're useful to you when you're negotiating, and you can have a little more confidence that, okay, like, this actually is a good offer. Because if you just have one offer, especially on businesses like the one we were selling, it's kind of hard to know for anybody what it's worth. I mean, you can do multiples and try and use standardized valuation methods, but especially for a business like ours that just blew up in the last year, I think a lot of the traditional valuating methods are just that they don't really work, or if they do work, it's just because like you and the guy that you're negotiating with think it works, but it's really hard to know what fair market value is for it. And if you only have one offer, then you don't really know if it's a good offer or not.
Yeah. So yeah, I think your business was somewhat unique because you had extremely high growth rate and a pretty niche kind of category. And I think that your growth rate was so fast that I think originally, we got a lot of feedback from buyers of like, is this sustainable? And then you just kept every month you kept beating the prior month again and again and again. And at some point it's like, okay, this is not a flash in the pan. This is a great business. So
yeah, and in retrospect, like it ended up being a good thing because it just allowed us to keep raising the valuation and justify raising the valuation, and we ended up getting more for it than I think we had gone in anticipating, which is awesome.
We raised the price 4 times from when we initially talked with you to the final listing price, and then we sold for pretty well over the last asking price that we had. So that was kind of what I guess I think that was worth waiting for, but I understand that the process of doing that wasn't necessarily linear.
Yeah, and when you're in the moment, you're wondering like, well, I started selling this business because I want to sell this business, and every month that it doesn't sell, it's just like an emotional roller coaster to be on, and you don't know what the future holds. So it ended up being a good thing, but there's an alternate universe where it could have been a bad thing. So yeah, and you were able to, it was a perfect example of kind of taking some chips off the table. You retained equity in the business, and you're going to have an opportunity to get kind of a second bite at the apple on another exit in the future, which potentially could be another great liquidity event for you. Yeah, and that might go into other advice I'd give potential sellers. If you have a really good buyer, which we did, be open to keeping some equity if it helps get that buyer to where they need to be. If they're really up on the edge of what they're able to do and you see a future in the business, maybe you keep some. And it also does create confidence for the buyer that you're willing to keep some skin in the game. They have confidence that you're not handing them some hot potato. You're along for the ride with them.
Yeah.
So I think that's also something that sellers should consider if they think there's a future in the business.
Great advice. And I think you guys were very skillful in kind of working that transaction details out to work that way. Congrats again on the sale, and I'll definitely look forward to working with you and Brian again. And I for what it's worth, I really enjoyed working with both of you guys, and really had a lot of fun, and I'm glad we got a good outcome for you.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sorry if during those tense months I was a little crabby with you and
I don't even remember that, man. I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
I know. I mean, look, here's the thing: is that when you sell a business, it's especially the first time you sell a business, it's the biggest financial opportunity, risk, change, all rolled up into one ball, So yeah. And you've not only that, but you've poured your blood, sweat, and tears into this thing for years to get to this point. So, if you weren't emotionally invested when you get close to the finish line, there would be something wrong. So yeah. I mean, I don't actually recall you being crabby ever, but if you were,
well, that's good.
Water under the bridge, man. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Glad to hear it. Awesome.
Okay. Thanks, Colin. Appreciate it, man. And
thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Okay.